Hey viewers, my name is Martin Caballero. I'm the assistant editor at BevNET. I'm here with Carol Ortenberg, the editor-in-chief at NOSH, and we are at the last day of Natural Products Expo East 2018 in Baltimore, Maryland. Things are sort of wrapping up at the show here, so we thought we'd get together and talk about some of the macro trends that we saw at the show, kind of going across food and beverage. Certainly a lot to take in, a lot to talk about. You'll see in our further coverage, but right now, we'll talk about a few things. I think plant-based, certainly we've seen that category maturing. That just seems to continue at this show.
You're totally right. Plant-based has grown in popularity immensely. For a while now, I think it's replaced gluten-free as the call-out you have to have on your packaging. But what's exciting to see is brands that are taking plant-based and using that to mean actually made from whole plants and using vegetables and fruits in innovative ways. You see these beautiful images on Instagram of veggie-forward dishes. It's really hard to make them at home. One of those trends is the idea of sweet potato toast. You layer some avocado, use them as a bun on a hamburger, and they have taken this concept, sliced sweet potatoes, roasted them, and makes it easy to replicate that trend at home without spending like hours crying over a sweet potato. Consumers are also really excited by transparency and understanding what's in their products. And when you open up Nestle's Wildscape line, there's just a ton of vegetables that are beautiful and crisp looking right there on the top of the product. Same thing with Cece's Veggie Noodles. You look in that clear plastic clamshell and you can tell this is just made from fresh zucchini with a little bit of sauce on the side. What about you, Marty? What are you seeing on the beverage side?
Well, you're right. I think plant-based is certainly developing in beverage, but in a slightly different way. I think on the brand side, we're seeing companies take a holistic approach and try to sort of be mastering the process of how do you make plant-based milks. Elmhurst is a good example. They really leveraged their technology in interesting ways. They had a couple new products this year. But I really think that sort of you can't just be an almond milk. You can't just be into one or two certain things. I think brands are really building platforms to extend in all ways because we don't know where things are going to go. I mean, in the past year, we've seen oat milk explode and sort of really take the momentum from on-premise coffee shop locations and baristas and really translate that into the RTD space. We're seeing a lot of growth there. So I think that's going to develop in different ways, and brands are trying to be ready for it. Specifically also with coffee, I think there's a lot of synergies there, as I mentioned, in the cafe space that we're seeing going into RTD. Every RTD coffee company that I spoke to is either coming out, has come out, or has at least explored the idea of creating a SKU that uses a plant-based milk, be it oat milk, cashew milk, almond milk, whatever it may be. So there's a lot of interest there. I think we're going to see those two grow sort of parallel. Creamers is another way that plant-based creamers is certainly growing too. So I think a lot of room to develop there, and we're going to see even more at Expo West for sure. Well, the other great thing about Expo East is it's a really easy way to sort of chart year-over-year growth. We're obviously here every year. It's an annual event. So I really was impressed by some of the developments I've seen in sort of the overall sparkling umbrella. I mean, sparkling water has certainly been on a tear. There's been interest from smaller brands, from the large strategics like Coke and Pepsi. But really, I think there's so much more that really innovative brands are doing with just bubbles and sort of bringing that into different spaces. We've seen, that's not necessarily this show, but we've seen some sparkling cold brews in previous trade shows. But here, I think sparkling tea was a really striking one. We saw from CAM their sort of reformulated, more functional sparkling tea line. There was a Sound Sparkling, which has two different lines. One is a sort of unsweetened sparkling, and the other is more of a tonic. It's got tea elements, tea extracts in there, different flavors. There's really just so much that people can do in this segment. That was for me. What about for you?
On my end, I was struck by the decrease in jerky companies. I remember walking some shows and you would just see Jerky Alley, where it was brand after brand of cured meat sticks and jerky. Here, there's some major players like Country Archer, Epic that have a big presence, but less of those regional players. And as stores are resetting their jerky sets, like Whole Foods Market, I'm curious to see what this means for the category, if some big meat snack producers will emerge in the natural space, and they'll just kind of become the category leaders that we see here at Expo East.
All right, Carol, it's hot take time. What was some of your favorite products that you saw at the show?
Well, Wayne Wu from VMG had some pretty amazing pants. Check out my Instagram to see what they were. all the brands that VMG works with in their
Not for
portfolio.
sale, though. This is to be clear.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe if you invest in you can get a copy. I hear there's a couple extra pairs floating around. But on the edible side, I was a big fan of Peckish. It is a perfectly boiled egg with crunchy puff toppings that you dip the egg into. Really great branding of all the flavors. My personal favorite was fried rice. I'm a big salty snack fan, and I love the fact that it had protein and just the textural balance was awesome. Not a new brand, but a somewhat new look. I loved Hodo Soy. They have some yuba noodles that I literally can't stop eating. I can be super full on samples, and if I see them, I cannot resist them. They just got into Whole Foods nationwide, so I'm looking forward to seeing their popularity and growth explode. Maybe some more yuba noodle trends sweeping Project NOSH. How about you, Marty? What on the beverage side got you excited?
Well, I'm going to hedge my bets a little bit here. I'm going to call out one, which I thought was super innovative, still early on, and the other one, maybe go for a category pick. Okay, individually, the one that really stood out to me was Ocean's Halo. Has a new kelp-based superfood drink. Now, don't be freaked out just yet. Yes, kelp, seaweed, that's what the company is mainly known for. And this is certainly a new venture for them going into beverage. But in terms of innovation, definitely one of the only, I actually can't think of any kelp-based products that are out in the market in terms of beverages in this country anyway. Happy for our viewers to let me know if there are any that I haven't heard of. But I just thought that was super innovative. I love super cutting-edge stuff. We'll see if it works. It's got a great taste to it, so that's certainly very important. Otherwise, I was really sort of intrigued by just the way that the cold brew RTD set, I think we mentioned it before, is just sort of expanding in different ways, and really the sort of innovation that each of these sort of players are pushing themselves towards categories developing, because a lot of really great energy and a lot of brands pushing themselves to do better, which is really great.
Well, Marty, thanks so much for chatting with me. This has been a blast. I know we've got to get back on the show floor for the last day. We're excited to see everyone next year at Expo East and at NACS coming up this fall.